As I promised, the whole story. I was married for 2 years at the time. Wife is a serious TikTok junkie, sends me at least 20 a day. We are both in our early 20s. Start sending ones about open marriages, and also some podcasts. A few long talks about how we are young and should try this before we are old and have kids. After a few months of pushing and pushing, I give in, and we set up some boundaries. 1. No unprotected activities. 2. Nothing in our house and no overnight stays. 3. If something occurs with someone else, no details and no touching each other for 30 days. And a doctor's visit and cleared, before any intimacy between us. We open our marriage, she starts going on dates on Friday nights. I work anyways and I get home normally around 10 p.m. The first year was kind of fun. She goes out on a date. By the time I get home she is already home, or getting home at the same time. She tells me what they did on the date and she jumps me. These are just dates, so no physical acts or intimacy. During this first year, I myself go on 3 dates, and each one goes the exact same way. They find out I am married and it is not what they are looking for. Was nice meeting you. So after 3 dates I quit. Then one Friday night she doesn't get home till like 3 in the morning. Comes in, makes a joke about being too sore and tired for anything. See some hickey marks on her chest and thighs. Not going to lie, I was hurt and upset by this. Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember, she tries to initiate with me, and I remind her of rule number 3. She gives me the, "Are you serious? 30 days and a doctor's visit." I said, "Yes, deadly serious." This becomes a pattern for us. She goes out with her bad boy on Friday nights, has her fun, then spends the rest of the week trying to get me to change rule number 3. To me, it feels like she put me on a shelf. I start avoiding her, working more, being out of the house, even if just out walking, start becoming a lot more physically active, start losing some weight. She is full in a fog of new relationship energy and doesn't notice and thinks I am out doing my own thing. 5 months of being on a shelf, I am not seeing a reason to remain in this marriage. I was selling my happiness so she could be happy, and I was running out of things to sell. Up to this point she has not broken any boundaries, and every time I bring up that maybe she should step back from him, I am overreacting or blowing this way out of proportion. It's just some fun one night a week. Our 4th wedding anniversary day arrives, and I take the day off work, make her dinner, and clean the house. She get home from work at 4, hops in the shower, get dressed up, tells me she is going to a bar to see a local band and not to wait up. She completely forgot about our anniversary. I am destroyed. I wake up Saturday morning at 9 in the morning, and she never came home. Boundary number 2 broken. I send her one simple text: "You have broken our boundary of no sleeping over. I am done." At 11:30 she starts calling, tells me she just closed her eyes for a second and passed out. Was an accident. I am so sorry, it will never happen again. My unwillingness to even talk about it causes her to wake up out of her fog a bit. She ends up coming to my work just before we open, and makes a scene in front of the whole staff and the owners. I am finally able to calm her down enough, and she leaves. I promised on Sunday we can discuss it. I get home from work Saturday night and she once again tries to be intimate with me, and I again tell her rule number 3. She then tells me that she will no longer be seeing him and wants to close the marriage and work on reconnecting with me. Seems she freaked out when she woke up there, got my texts, and he made fun of her and she realized how much of a jerk he was. She tries every day to be intimate with me and fails badly. At this point I have no need or want or desire for her. She is a roommate, barely. The 30 days goes by, she goes to the doctor and gets checked out. She is clean of diseases, but is pregnant. Not sure where her mind was with this, but she comes home excited and tells me we are pregnant. I tell her, "Good, I hope you two will be happy together." Looks at me confused for a few minutes and starts crying. She a few days later sends him a text telling him. His response is, "Wow, sucks to be you. Might want to pass it off as your husband's." Laters. I file for divorce soon after. She starts doing anything and everything to change my mind about the divorce. Make promises, begs, pleads, offers everything under the sun, asking for a chance to fix us. I am polite and nice about it, but not having any of it. I'm stuck living with her for a while till our lease is up. We fall into a new pattern. She tries to be intimate with me. I turn her down. She gets upset. I go for a run. My resentment of her is growing just like her baby bump. 3 weeks ago, she comes in my room to talk. She brought home pizza for dinner. Starts with how being pregnant makes her super into it all the time, and tries yet again to be intimate with me. I at this point am running out of politeness. Tells her sorry, I am not into fat chicks. Maybe hit Tinder. I'm sure someone on there would be down for it. She leaves my room crying. Also, we had our first divorce hearing and the judge slapped 6 weeks of marriage counseling on us, court ordered. We go 2 sessions, kinda like a meet and greet thing. Talk to us separately to get our stories, I guess. I just want this over so we can move on with our lives. Last Sunday was my birthday. On that Friday before it, she asks me to spend my birthday with her to celebrate it. I decline her invitation. She keeps pushing the subject, and I snap and I tell her that I don't waste special occasions on her anymore. The last one was our 4th anniversary in which she went out to get knocked up by some pothead loser. I leave her crying in the kitchen, head to work, and told her I would see her on Monday for our court-ordered waste of time. Monday morning, I am at marriage counselor and she never shows. I call her, nothing, call her friends, nothing, then called her parents. She got arrested Sunday morning for DUI and reckless endangerment, and they are on the way. I offer our house for them to stay at, as I have a couch at a friend's house. My lawyer goes to the judge and expedites things, and my divorce gets finalized this past Friday. Yesterday I helped them pack some of her stuff, and today going to help them load a U-Haul they rented. She gets released tomorrow, and they are taking her back home with them. She wants to see me, but I feel that will just be worse for the both of us. We both need to move on. Now for some comments before reading the update. That 30-day rule likely saved you from being stuck to her for another 18 years. I guarantee you she would have tried to pass the baby off as yours if you two were intimate at the time. Good luck on your future. Came here to say this. Do not sign birth certificate, and ask your lawyer as to how to get out of not paying child support. You would need to show DNA test to show that you are not the father. And do not proclaim the kid as your own, otherwise courts might compel you to pay child support. Please check with your lawyer regarding kids born with another father during marriage. Lawyer said I am free and clear. Just super emotional today. Been crying, not sure for what, just. Crying is good, cleansing all those emotions, getting all that negativity out of your system. You're in a liminal space right now, and that can be emotional and uncomfortable. You're closing up this chapter, so you can move on to the next. Uncomfortable is right for sure. Dealing with my former father and mother-in-law, getting her stuff packed up and in a U-Haul. The funny thing is, you stood by the rules and gave her every chance to improve. And she broke every single one of them. Number 3, she tried consistently to break, showing a complete disrespect. Imagine that. She had the entire thing handed to her exactly as she wanted it, and it wasn't enough. And then she thought you would still stay after she broke every rule. But you didn't, and you're a damn hero for that. I really saw this story going another way, but this was the best outcome. You got rid of a miserable person who tried to take advantage of you every single step of the way. That's because open marriages like this case are just a guilt-free way of cheating. And now for the update. My divorce was finalized a week and a day ago. I have been playing every moment over in my head and feel guilty for making it out the other side pretty much intact, and in some ways better for it. While she is still living in that dumpster fire and not moving on or giving up. Had to change my phone numbers, delete my Facebook. I can't even answer the phone at my business. Only good part is, she is 8-hour drive away at her parents, so she can't just show up. But she is sending her friends by in proxy. I was stupid to think that once the divorce was final I could start my life up again. Final update, I hope. Last Thursday I took a call from my ex-wife. Been no contact since our divorce was finalized. Had a 45-minute talk with her. She had been doing some self-reflection and was apologizing for specific things she did in the 5 months she put me on a shelf, and the 6 months of trying to stop me from divorcing her. Seems she needed some closure and hoped that someday I would forgive her and no longer hate her. I informed her that I have forgiven her, and that I want her to have a good life and forget all about me and move on with her life. She promised to respect my no contact. I am moving on with my life. I am even working on rebuilding my relationship with my parents, which I have not spoken to in 7 years. Let me guess, these are the same friends of hers who help her convince you to try this open marriage thing. Where were they when you were hurting? Tell them to kick rocks. She broke all the boundaries you had in place, got herself pregnant by a lowlife who wants nothing to do with her now, but yet she still feels he is deserving of her having his baby. She sees you as nothing more than a weak provider. She would never have your kids. She just wants your resources to raise someone else's kid. If she truly loved you and wanted to really save this marriage, she knew what she had to do. Dude, I feel for you. I read your story, and it is unfortunate that it ended this way. But don't you feel bad? You did what is best for you. In life there are always consequences, and we have to take accountability for our actions. She needs to take accountability for hers. Please don't feel guilty. You consented to this open marriage crap in an effort to please your ex-wife, who, obviously, never took your feelings into consideration. Your ex-wife consistently broke the boundaries and showed you nothing but contempt. She blew off your anniversary for some unprotected extramarital activity which wound up being her undoing. Take your time healing, and please learn the lessons from this experience. She made her choices, now she has to live with the consequences. That's her problem. Stay strong, better days are in your future. Keep on going, keep tight, no contact. I've been following your story. Let me say I'm impressed by how quickly you recognized your mistake in accepting her request to open the marriage, then took quick and correct steps to correct your life path. Takes a heck of a lot of willpower, emotional backbone, and resilience to operate like you did. It's natural to feel guilty. After all, you once loved her enough to not only marry her, but even allowed her to pull the open marriage BS. You guys were supposed to grow old together, so watching her in this condition would trigger emotions. You wouldn't be a good dude otherwise. But just remember, if you re-engage her in any capacity, she will escalate the circus to keep you trapped in her orbit of cruelty. Redirect that guilt into improvement energy towards yourself. But always remind yourself, everything that's happened is her doing. The state she's in is entirely of her own doing. She is no longer your problem forever. Oh, and those enabler friends she's sending over, any chance you recorded or documented that as well. Might be able to get your lawyer to do something about it. Hit her with some kind of harassment charges or restraining order. You have the right to be left alone. Time for you to move on and regard all this as merely a speed bump in your life. Thank you, and you are right. Now for the last story. So, my wife cheated on me. After 22 years, I found out my wife was cheating on me. Here's the gory details. It was one of my friends and neighbors, someone we go to church with. Even my oldest son took their daughter to prom. In summary, that family was close to us. So, on Super Bowl Sunday night, we had some people over for the game, that neighbor as well. After the game, everyone left and I went to bed. About an hour later, I woke up to hearing a conversation. I got up, heard my wife talking on Snapchat audio, speakerphone, to a guy. They were making arrangements to meet in the morning after I went to work and do the deed. I kept listening and realized that I know that voice on the other end. I dashed downstairs, grabbed the phone and confronted him. Phone immediately hung up. My wife confessed that the affair had been going on for a month. On top of this, all 4 of my kids heard the argument and subject matter, and they hate their mother now. I live in a small community, and it's going around town. I'm really struggling with a mix of anger, depression, and loneliness. I need some advice. I'm trying to make it work, but my wife is blaming me as too engaged with work the past year. Business owner during COVID. Yeah, trying to make some money. She's blamed getting COVID as a mental issue, and she's blamed too many drinks. Now for the top advice. Is this a new symptom of COVID? It makes you cheat now. It's impossible to make it work if she blames shifts with these pathetic excuses and refuses to take responsibility. It would still be going on if you had not found out. At minimum, kick her out the bedroom. I would ask her to leave the house for a period so you can process this. And make no decisions yet. It's far too early to decide to make it work as you say, and make her no promises. She must know divorce is an option for you. If the neighbor has a wife or girlfriend, make sure they are informed if they don't already know. I recorded her confession and sent it to his wife. Heck yeah, good work, man. See a lawyer. At the very least, you must know how this will impact your family. Don't fall for this manipulative BS. You worked too hard. BS. COVID made her do it. She drank too much. Yeah, sure she did. She must be doing a lot of drinking to continuously do this for a month. I wasn't aware adultery was a COVID symptom. You think? This is the classic blame shifting and gaslighting routine you find in the Cheater's Big Book of Cheating Excuses Chapter 1. So you've been caught. Sadly, there's nothing special about your circumstances. Your wife and this dude decided they want to do it with people they weren't married to, and so they chose to give themselves permission to do it. Note that carefully. They didn't make a mistake. They didn't trip and fall on each other's you-know-what. They actively and consciously chose to meet, do the deed, and deceive both you and the other betrayed spouse. For a month. I can't suggest a course of action beyond the obvious, but I would suggest that both respect and trust have been irrevocably destroyed here. Don't make any sudden decisions. But for sure consider what the future is going to be like with her, knowing what you now know. Good luck, make smart decisions, and be your own best friend now, because your wife surely isn't. Imagine a drunk driver blaming the alcohol or the judge after an accident that destroys an entire family. That's called selfish. It's called being a coward. To successfully reconcile after an affair, the very first thing required is genuine remorse for what she chose to do to you and your family. Then there are 100 more variables that must fall into place. I'd take as much time apart from her as possible. Don't leave your home, moving to a guest room and try to gather your thoughts. Minimally engage with her and focus on your kids. Given how evil she's been by not only cheating, but then blaming you, I'd prepare for the worst, but at least prepare. Talk to a lawyer, discuss options. If your kids hate her, it could work in your favor and you might get full custody anyway. Do not tolerate being blamed for her vile choices. When I work too much, you know what my wife does. She sits down and talks with me about it. You know what she doesn't do? Go and bang the neighbor behind my back and then blame me for it. We have 3 kids, and if I'm in your shoes, given what you posted, I'm leaving. Maybe after the divorce and some hard lessons, she wakes up and you can rekindle. But she sounds deep into the affair fog and needs a wake-up call. Sorry man, this sucks. Affair fog is so real. My husband's fog lifted, and he is so remorseful that I actually feel bad for him. Not bad enough to stay married to him, but it's pretty crazy how he was seeing things a few months ago compared to right now. I'm sorry that you are going through this. I've often thought how terrible it would feel if we lived in a small town. We don't, but even then, I do get tired of the pity. This is what will always crack me up. She could have cheated with anyone in the world, any freaking stranger to get rid of her itch, but she had to make it a personal crap show where you are humiliated in your own house and community. And then what? I'm sorry, let's go to therapy, like any caught loser will cry last minute. As if it had changed that fact that your son and his best friend won't have that turd stain on their mind for the rest of their lives. Hey bud, remember when your dad and my mom separated our families? Or every time your daughter wants to reminisce on her prom or any event you shared as couples? What a kick to the balls, honestly. She deserves a trophy for screwing things up in the worst way possible. This obviously hits close to home, but goddamn OP, I hate your wife and people like her. How could there be any fixing? Kick her ungrateful butt to the curb and never look back. Easier said than done, but I wish you strength to see this through in whatever way is best for you, and thank you if you got to the bottom of my rant.